Welcome back to the Off the Rails podcast. I'm your host, Caleb Graham, and we missed a week last week, but we are going to get back on track this week. We're going to get back on the rails, I guess, and then we'll go off of them again. But make sure you guys are sharing the podcast with Off the Rails podcast, hashtag OTR podcast, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is where you can watch it. If you're listening on Anchor or you're listening on Spotify, if you want to see our faces, and you might not want to, we don't know. But if you do, you can come watch it on YouTube and watch there. We've got a good one today. We got a special guest with us from down in Caldwell, Mr. Kyle Huck. And we're going to let him introduce himself. Kyle, tell us a little bit about what you do, who you are, and what you're all about.
Well, thanks for having me on, Caleb. Really appreciate it. Appreciate thinking of me, having me up. But so I'm Kyle Huck, and I own Wings Etc. in Caldwell and Marietta, Apex Gaming and Esports in Caldwell. And my wife and I currently are in the process. Actually, April 1st, I believe, is going to be our transition date, taking over the pharmacies in Caldwell, Braid Med, and Gillespie's Drugs. So Stay busy and have a lot going on.
Right. And what was, how did you get started with your entrepreneurship, with owning these businesses? Or did you even start with that? Did you start somewhere else? Did you kind of grow into it, or how'd that work?
So for me, I grew up in family business. My family had King's Furniture in Beverly for a long time. And it just kind of was natural to go into business, and I just kind of always enjoyed it. And being an entrepreneur is really one thing I just kind of always I always wanted to do. My wife and I, we always wanted to take over her family business and the pharmacy. That was kind of always in the cards. She's a 4th generation pharmacist, which is really neat. And so, that was always natural and step number one. And then for me, the next venture that I did was Wings. And I just thought one thing for the community to grow was we needed to expand. We needed to have more. We needed to have another restaurant, another place to eat. And so then I started looking into that and found Wings and thought, hey, this is a franchise. I can, do a couple of them, or, maybe more. Still thinking about possibly doing more. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. And so found that, and crazy thing there, I had never even worked in the restaurant business.
Really?
No.
And so it's a franchise.
It is a franchise.
And okay. Yeah.
So the way that works is we bought the franchise, and then it's really awesome because they're an incredible franchise support wise. But we own our franchises. They're ours, and we get help from what we call corporate. And like I said, they're an incredible company. So I just love those guys out there to pieces. They work so hard to make us be able to do what we do.
Yeah. And what made you choose Wings instead of something else?
So I looked at a lot of different franchises, and I thought that their footprint would do well in our area. We didn't have, in Marietta, there wasn't a sports bar. There's all kinds of them out there. Obviously B does, but Wings and Rings and, all kinds of different places. And when I saw it, I thought it would do good. Then I looked at the menu. I was like, well, they have a big menu.
Yeah, they do.
I went out and tried it. And then for me, the big thing was when I met corporate, when I met the guys, Rob Hensman and Eric Cezanne, I met these guys that do it, and I'm like, these guys are awesome. They are good guys, and it's just fun, to work with them and know them and have them backing us up. And they do an incredible job, growing the franchise and everything. And for me, that was one of the big things, was meeting them and thinking, this is a good fit for us and our family. And my brother Chad and his wife Missy, who are business partners in Wings, and they went out too then and met him, and it just really fit for us.
Okay. Yeah, good deal. That's cool. And on the Wings topic still, I love I've been there a few times. Whenever I can get down to Caldwell or Shenandoah, that's my stop. I'm like, let's get off the interstate, go up here. Love the Wings. I love, there's a certain flavor I love. It's like Carolina Gold, I think. Do you have a Carolina Gold?
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite there.
The honey mustard.
Yeah. And, but just diverse. I mean, the menu, there's just so many different options. I feel like they're adding stuff a lot too. Are they always adding different things, trying different things? They always,
every month we have an LTO, limited time offer. They bring something out new, like usually there's a new appetizer or a new food, new burger or whatever. The real neat thing is sometimes if they're huge hits, sometimes they'll make an appearance on the menu long term, and then sometimes they'll take them back away again for a little bit and then, bring them back. But just to kind of change it up and
just like the McRib.
Yeah. And
bring it back, builds hype, and then
a lot of franchises do that, just to, so it's not the same thing all the time.
Right. Because I feel like a lot of places, you'll see it at Taco Bell and a lot of these just really like large places, but you'll see McRib's back or hey, we're bringing back this quesadilla with whatever in it, and it's not that you didn't even think about it until they brought it back again. I think it's that hype for the customer that's like, some people think, well, I wish they always had the McRib, but then 4 or 5 months down the line, you're like, I'm not getting another McRib, but then they bring it back and you're like, oh great, I'm getting a McRib.
Had it. Yeah. I haven't had it for 7 or 8 months.
So I think the big thing with bringing foods in and out, and especially popular items, is it builds that hype. It's not staying stale. The menu is not just the same thing, and it does make a lot of sense to have, if you have successful items, to bring them back and not just keep them on the menu the entire time, because it's fresh in people's minds.
And they keep the staples, generally stay and that, but
you're never going to take the wings off the menu, is what you're saying.
No, no way. So, but I tell you, it's been a journey. So 5.5 years Marietta's been open, and now Caldwell's been open for 3 years and a couple months. So it's crazy.
And you went to Fort Fry, is that correct? Fort Fry alum?
Fort Fry grad 02, Marietta College grad 07. My degree's in business management and accounting, and so that's actually my profession. Entrepreneur. I mean, I run the businesses, but I do accounting work. That's what I do for my businesses. That's kind of my day-to-day job. Keeps me busy.
Right. Oh, I can't imagine. So you have what, four businesses total? Is that, or is it 3?
It's a little. So I've technically, 2 different wings, and they're technically 2 different companies.
Right.
And then. Braden Med and Gillespie's is one company.
That's what I would.
And then Apex is actually under their umbrella. It's in the same building.
Right.
So it's technically under the umbrella of Braden Med. And then I have some real estate companies.
Right. And so speaking of Apex, we've got some similarities, I think, with that stuff. So Apex is esports. What sparked that interest?
My little brother,
Taryn.
Yeah. Taryn. So he came to me one day, and when he was actually just got out of college, and young and energetic, and he says, "Hey, I went out saw this really cool place," and when he was out on some college science thing. And he says, I saw this like internet cafe type place, and they had computers and PlayStation. They had all kinds of different things in there. You could go in there and play games, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then with the growing esports,
it's getting bigger.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah. I have to look up the stat, but I know like the League of Legends World Championships beat the Super Bowl in numbers. Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the Super Bowl, I think they were only like 6 million or something like that this year.
It just blows them out of the water.
Yeah.
And so it's just crazy now. But with the esports stuff going on, and we thought, hey, we'll put in a esports arena and people can come in and game, play whatever they want. And, we put in a higher speed internet fiber, and which is really neat because around here, a lot of people out in the country really struggle with internet. I know I even live in town, and sometimes I struggle.
Yeah. And that was part of our reasoning for moving into Cambridge was internet. Spectrum's around here. It's not gigabit or fiber yet, but it's getting there.
Right.
I keep getting mail for 900 megabit download, and I'm like, well, we do a lot of upload. So,
right.
So, that's still set at the same 10 to 15 range. So I would love to get some fiber in here at some point. We'll see. But yeah, that was part of our move. I was thinking about Byesville originally, because we do a lot with Meadowbrook. It's where I went to school. That's my home school, and we do a lot with them. So I was like, Byesville would be cool. Then I work out over at this gym over here, right across the street. And Doug Hartley, I don't know if you know him.
I haven't met him.
He owns a couple different businesses. Starfire.
Okay.
His family owns Starfire, and then they sold to Bell Stores, and so he's doing roofing, he's doing CrossFit, he's doing they have rental properties.
So he's busy.
He's a busy guy too, and so one day I was like, I need somewhere to be, because I started having all these cameras, having all this stuff, and just sitting in my room at home, and I'm like, I can't live here. Yeah. So I got with him. I was like, you got anything for rent, around here? And he's like, right there, and he showed me a few places, but this was like the perfect spot. I didn't need I didn't need office rooms. I didn't need more than just 2 or 3 rooms like we have. High ceilings, we can put in, bigger backdrops for photos, bigger backdrops for video. And so he showed us this place first. I was like, this is it. We looked at other ones, but after that, I was like, the first place was pretty nice. It's just the perfect spot for it. We've got parking. We're close to, we are downtown, I guess.
Yeah.
But we, instead of being up here, we've got parking. You can drive in, you can stay a little bit. You don't have to street park. It's a good gig. So
when I pulled in, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah. And, right across, in the same building, we've got Healthy's, shake place. I think they have one down in Caldwell too. But, excuse me. But, our editor, his girlfriend works over there, so it's all just fun and games. We're all hanging out. And then, we're excited. We're excited to be here, and we actually got to partner with you guys, Apex, with some of the sports stuff this past little bit of fall, a little bit of all of basketball season. But tell us a little bit about how you guys got into the sports scene.
Well, that was. So I coach football at Fort Fry, and I remember sitting in the fall coaches meeting and with all the fall sport coaches, and the administration is telling us, hey, we're really hoping to begin the season. OHSA thinks we're going to play. They're talking to the governor, but it sounds like we're not going to get more than 10, 15, maybe 20% capacity. So then, of course, my wheels just start spinning. Okay, this is not good. This is a problem. People aren't going to be able to watch our guys play, our girls play in volleyball. And it's not going to go away in basketball. We know, for a little bit of foresight there. And so, I basically sat the rest of the meeting trying to okay, how are we going to stream this? Because we stream in Apex, we stream games, esports and stuff. And I'm thinking, okay, we know how to do it, but how can we get this to the schools? And then, of course, one of my big things was, how can we make money for the schools? Because they're going to be missing all of their gate.
Yeah.
If you have, you think about that. If you have 1,000 people go to a football game, times 5 tickets, that's a $5,000 gate.
Right.
If you cut that to 25%, 20%.
And you got to pay your refs. You got to pay people to be at the game. There's so much overhead too. It'd be nice just to cover that cost, with some of the streaming stuff.
So, I started thinking, okay, well, easy way would be what some schools do, and there's nothing wrong with any avenue that any school chose. Everybody was scrambling to get things done.
Oh, so it was like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it was a matter of, we didn't even know if the season was going to happen. Yeah, let alone figure everything out. And that's why I was like, okay, well, we need to jump in and help as many schools as we can. And so that's why, it was, just the whole thing is crazy. But so anyway, so we jumped in, and, I started thinking, okay, there's so many different avenues. You could just do a iPad or a phone and Facebook Live it, easy, done. Problem is that doesn't make any revenue back for the school. There's no advertising involved. There's no, and you actually have a product there.
Right.
The live streaming of the game, radio, it does a great job. Chris Worf, WJ, those guys, Chris Worf, he's fantastic. I love listening to him on the radio. But they have a product, and they sell to advertisers. We advertise with them. And the streaming can be the same thing. The radio has an audience, and they have their thing, but streaming can also have an audience.
And I think you're going to reach a different audience as well. I think
it'll be a different one too. Yeah. It's going to be a little bit of a younger
people
generation
that otherwise probably wouldn't have a radio sitting around the house, or they've got their phone with them, so they're like, oh, I can go to YouTube, I can go
watch it. And so then, I'm thinking, okay, but that's great. So you can stream it, and then of course our first iteration was, because we do Twitch, for Apex. Yep. So our first iteration was, well, we'll just put it on Twitch. And then I found you guys and was like, hey, Caleb's doing it. And then, so I reached out to you and was like, hey, let's partner up instead of buying multiple platforms.
It's cheaper too, a lot cheaper.
Yeah, let's jump in with you and do that. So then in the fall, we finally transitioned over to getting on your platform, which in turn makes your platform better.
It grows, yes.
Yeah, because you have more teams and stuff, which is awesome. The platform you have going, and so it just all worked. But having a platform like that, having of course we put out a product. It's not just an Facebook iPad. And an iPad. We have broadcasters hired. We have a camera person. We have the poor producer, Taryn. Bricker and TJ and Taryn, and were my main producers for our 3 schools. Those guys work hard. Yeah. And running the stream, running all the ads, getting instant replays in, all the different things that we try to do. Right. They work hard.
Yeah. No, and we're starting to get, starting is it? We did, but our people, I've got them. For football, we were just kind of throwing it together. Yeah. They were running scoreboard, they were running ads and doing the camera. And so we're starting to learn, especially with how the tournaments have been going recently. I've got, we have the 2 camera angles now. That's why we had to take a break and cut because I didn't have everything set up, because that's what we're using to switch angles at games. But it's a lot easier when I can sit there and do score. Yes. And do ads and then not have to move a camera back and forth down the court. Yes. So we're learning that side, but there's a lot you can do with it. It's just, is the investment worth it? How much time are you putting into this, and how are you going to make your money back? Right.
Well, and then like I said, for fall, trying to make money for the schools in winter, and not charge the schools for this service, but try to get it paid for by advertisers and or possibly ticket sales. Right. But every school, as far as that, and I don't know if I should go into the whole ticket sale thing, but it's such a hot button issue with guys like us. Yeah. Because personally, I think it should be a ticketed item. I agree. I will, back that up. I think, and the schools that have decided to make it free and just pay for the service, kudos to them for doing that. Yeah. And eating the cost and not passing it on to the fans that would be going to the game and buying a ticket. I know I feel bad for the fans though, because they want to go to the game and watch it. And to them, the consolation prize of watching it on a stream while we're trying to do a good thing and help and get it out there, and like I said, raise money for the schools as well, it's still such a consolation prize to the fans that it's like a tough pill to swallow. And then they're like, oh man, I got to pay for it too, and I'm not even at the game. It's a bummer. But the big thing is we now have this going, and it can go forward. And you can have this option. I'm working till 8:00. I can't get off work, but they don't care if I have it on my phone in the back, and I can slip back there and watch some of the game. My nephew or whoever, or my niece's basketball game. For me, my kids are young, but I have a senior niece that played basketball for Fort Fry, and I have a nephew in every grade from senior to freshman. Really? So I love to watch them, but I can't get to every game. Yeah. But now with this streaming, though, so many even of the away games, couldn't go even if we wanted to this year. But for us to be able to pull it up and watch it is awesome.
And it can be every game. Instead of just the big game or, there's a few games here that are good. I think with the ticketed option, you can definitely supplement those costs and make every game possible.
Well, to me, the future of
and long term.
Yeah. The future of it is the schools aren't going to pay to have that done. No. So you're either going to watch a Facebook Live version
on an iPad,
which I watched several of those. Not great. They're
you're glad to
blurry.
have it, but
exactly glad to have it and glad to be able to tune in. But if I can watch a KGP production or like an Apex production. Right. We're streaming with 1080p cameras
and physical people. You got to pay announcers. You got to pay your cameramen. You got to pay for gear, equipment. Not even to mention software. The software side is what gets you because people don't really see it. But it's a yearly cost. I mean, it's year over year.
All the different things that you use, and of course, then your OBS, your operation software. You got to have something there to run the stream. So there's a lot that goes into it. But to move on to where it could go next year is, to me, the schools, instead of quote unquote raising money for the schools, I think what's going to happen is the school's going to say in the future, the schools will say, hey, you know what? 10 people are going to watch this stream or 20 people are going to watch this stream that would have come and bought a ticket, but they decided to stay home. And the schools aren't going to be willing to let us stream and take their ticket revenue.
Right.
They're going to say, okay, you guys can stream our seasons, but if you want to be our streaming company, you pay us X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And then so on top of our equipment and our people and everything we have to do, we are probably going to reimburse lost ticket sales that we are recovering from the school. So to me, the model in the future is going to be you buy a ticket to watch, and then we have advertisers, which is like regular TV, like Hulu, like Netflix. You buy a subscription, or it could also be, there's a couple angles for the ticketed price, but but that's what you do every day with TV. They have advertisers that pay for a portion of what you would be paying to watch.
Yeah.
If there were no advertisers, your TV cost would be astronomical.
Right.
But with the advertisers, they keep the price down. You pay $80 a month or $100 or $30 or your Netflix subscription of $15 or whatever, and then you have your ads and whatever. But with what, with where we're going, we're really looking at the same type of setup.
It's like a movie ticket.
Yeah. You buy a ticket, you go into the movie, you see the ads before the movie, and then you watch your movie.
Right.
So,
and I think the mindset is, at least right now, since it's all new, is, as a sponsor should pay for it, but really a sponsor is paying to be in front of your eyes, not to pay for your ticket. Yeah. Right. I mean, I will
tell you, it's the reason we changed for basketball. So for football, I cannot say enough about local businesses. The businesses stepped up in such a huge way
during a pandemic
to bring streaming to people that couldn't go to the games.
Right.
So if you watch a stream that the Apex or that we do, look at the businesses on our ticker and go thank them. Yeah. Please. I can't even tell you how they have stepped up. It's amazing. I have chills right now just talking about how the business has stepped up. So we raised almost, I think it was just under $5,000 for Caldwell in the fall. And we raised it was just over $7,000 for Fort Fry. And the reason they were more was because they had 2 or 3 more home volleyball games, and then they had 4 home playoff games.
Okay.
So, and Caldwell had 1 home playoff game. So the difference there on the revenue. But anyways, where I'm going with that is, it was not sustainable to continue to send those businesses the bills we sent them.
Yeah.
They were going to have to say no.
It's a 1 year thing where it's like, okay, like, we understand where we're at. We understand people can't go to the game. We're willing to bite that cost, but every year that gets a little expensive.
And that's why in the winter you saw some of us change and shift gears. And we talked with the schools, we all had discussions and we lowered the price. And then some of the schools said, hey, okay, we'll make up the price by charging. Some of the schools said, hey, you know what, we'll keep it free and we'll pay the difference. So I don't fault, like I said, any school for doing anything.
Right. The fact that they even had anything is above and beyond.
Right.
Right.
And they actually, and to all the superintendents, I think they've done a great job. All of our local administrations and superintendents navigating through this, I pray for them every day. I know as a business owner,
there's no right or wrong.
We have our own, I have my own stuff I'm navigating. And for them, like, I just, wow. Every day, the decisions, the problems, it is trying times for everybody, physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. So, that's just where it is. It's going to have to be, you buy a ticket, you watch the game. And now I did, there are talks, some schools sell, season passes.
Right.
So you have a season pass to go to every, Shenandoah game, Caldwell game, Fort Fry game. That season pass could include the ticket price.
The live streams, yeah.
But the reason for that is because the school can take into account into their fee to us, for streaming, for buying the rights to stream it to school. Well, I got so many season passes, they can watch your product too. It actually makes my season pass better.
Yeah.
For those fans. So, maybe they'll sell more season passes that way because now I can watch every game, whether I'm there or whether I'm away.
And I don't have to worry about buying it every time.
Right.
It's just
it makes more sense. So I think there's some tie-ins. I think you're going to see some really innovative solutions to the issues. The big thing is we all need to get together and talk and figure it out and get all the schools on the same page so that fans and viewers can see a consistency with it.
And I think that's been the biggest issue, has been this one's free, this one's paid, this one's somewhere in between, whatever it is. And I don't think the fans for each school, for a Meadowbrook or for a Fort Fry, I don't think they have a problem buying a ticket. I think what you see is people have a problem
with the inconsistency.
Yeah, this one's free. Why is this one not? And one thing actually I was going to mention to you is on those ticket, on that sheet I gave you, the one game you did the best on was Warren, Fort Fry and Warren. And the only thing I could really see, and I haven't looked through all of the ticket sales yet, it's a lot, but the one thing I did notice is that Warren also charges to watch the game.
Yes.
So I think,
because I bought a ticket to watch my niece play there.
Yeah. And so I think what we saw was Warren fans were willing to pay for a ticket because they also were being charged to watch a game. And so I think you see, if there is this unification and we say, okay, we're going to do A or we're going to do B, maybe something in the middle. It's a hybrid thing. We don't know yet. We're still throwing everything together. But I think that's what you're going to see is people are going to be like, okay, that makes sense. I don't feel unjustly treated here. I'm glad, I'm supporting the school in this way or whatever it is. But that's really what it's going to come down to.
Your ticket price, and that what the scenario I'm saying, your ticket price doesn't go to us.
Right.
We're capturing your ticket price and giving it back to the school.
And that's what, that was another thing we saw with football, and now people understand. But, people were thinking, well, Caleb's getting all that money. Why? And I was like, no, I'm not. And so that was something we had to clarify and should have been clarified before. But for the most part, there were almost no contracts. It was just, can you stream it? Can you do it? Yes, we could. And so it was so thrown together. But that was something I really started stressing to people was, you're not paying us. You're supporting us. You're really helping us out, but you're also paying the school. You're getting these athletic programs funds to help pay for refs, funds to help pay for people to take tickets, funds for people to do parking. You're helping support that system.
Yes, and it has to be. The athletic departments can't function on a zero budget. Right. They're actually. Do you know how much a football helmet costs? They're several $100s. Yeah. And you have to they have generally a 4 or 5, 6 year lifespan. So you buy you buy 10 new helmets, 10 new helmets, 10 new helmets, 10 new helmets every year. It's a lot of money. You got $2,000 to $3,000 in helmets every single year. And now some of the new helmets are getting up into $400 or $500. Some of the new ones with
they've got lineman helmets now and all that kind of stuff.
And athletics is, very expensive for the schools. And how do you pay for it? Ticket price.
Right. And something we found, we kind of got explained to us was with the tournament specifically, if you're going to go watch a tournament basketball game or watch a football tournament game, your ticket, most of that money goes to the OHSAA.
Correct.
If you buy a stream, that money is now going to the school.
Right.
And so that's something I was like, that makes a lot, and I'm sure they'll figure something out with that.
But we pay OHSAA to be able to stream.
And we pay pay the OHSAA to do that. But the schools are making more money off their stream tickets than they probably are off of their individual ticket sales. Now, granted, there's 600 people at some of these games.
Yeah, they generally only get for a pre-sale ticket at a school, they usually get somewhere between like $1 to $2 out of a $10 or $8 ticket. So they're not getting very much. But if they sell, 500 tickets and they're getting $1, it's $500. Yeah. But if they sell a stream and they have 100 viewers at $8, they're getting $800.
Yeah.
Well, and then minus the fee of the platform, but
still more than
which doesn't
ticket.
Go to us. It goes to
right.
You got to pay the platform to have it. That's the software fee that we talk about.
It's the most worry-free platform I've ever used, and it's worth the percentage.
Yeah,
I would tell you that because you say, can you refund this? It's done in a day. Right. Hey, for our first game of the season that we did with them was John Glenn Meadowbrook, rained out, sold 100 tickets. Oh, what do we do now? And I messaged, oh, they're all refunded already. They were refunded before the game was played that Saturday. And so people were, they were like, they were starting to learn this isn't a bad platform.
Mm-hmm.
If something happens, if the stream doesn't occur, I'm going to get my money back. I'm not just, I'm not going to have to wait around for weeks to get my money back. Even at that point, they've got, built-in support. So, we're out streaming games. We don't have all the time in the world to sit there and be like, well, if you want to get it on your TV, you got to do this and that. Yeah. But if they reach out, there's a Boxcast support button when you buy the ticket. They'll do their best to guide you through it. And so the platform alone is invaluable to how this service works.
Well, it's much better. We were in football season. It's kind of funny. What we did is for the regular season is we were like, we're going to try Twitch and we're going to try YouTube and put one school on each, and we're going to see how it goes and which one's better, because we were kind of like, let's go one or let's go the other. And then we were like, what if we don't like, and then we don't know, like, so we kind of split. And then, like I said, by the time playoffs rolled around and, I kind of met you and we started talking a little bit, I was like, let's do that. It's been much nicer to have that platform and also have one place where I can say, people, where are your games? KGP.
Right.
KGP.
Same website every time.
Yeah,
it helps grandma and grandpa. If they aren't too internet savvy, they can come in, just click here, click there, and they're good to go.
Right.
But yeah, that's the I think that's the one of the perks of using that platform is you're getting people to your website too. It's not just now it's still your Facebook page, it's still your YouTube page, but you're funneling people to a proprietary site where you don't have to worry about copywritten music being played in the background that was something we had trouble with on like YouTube, for example, was they'd start playing songs to get for football season, they'd be playing songs and then, oh, our stream's down. Why? Well, Warner Brothers, they said, well, that's our song. It is. Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas with Boxcast, yeah, there's some copyright stuff there, but it's your stream, it's your proprietary platform. You're not going to get in trouble for that kind of stuff, and they're not going to just take your stream down for no reason. I think another thing, and this would be something I experienced, but I'm sure you guys did as well, was with the platform, to get up and streaming is a single stream key every time.
Yes.
You don't have to type in Meadowbrook versus this at the beginning of it's just hit go and it's there. And
right.
I think it's a lot easier and a lot more scalable as far as just being able to say, hey, here's your equipment, go, and then you hit the Fort Fry button or you hit the Meadowbrook button and it's there. They don't have to know what YouTube are we on? Especially when you're doing more than one stream, it can get confusing. So you can stream multiple videos to YouTube or multiple videos to Facebook. But when we tried doing that, even last year, we had a few going on. I'd have people call, like, well, I was watching the Meadowbrook game, and then it just cut to Buckeye Trail randomly. And I'm like, that's a stream key issue, because when you would hit live, unless you specified beforehand, hey, we're going to need another secondary stream key for this stream, it would just push it live to whatever, your main stream key was. And so with this platform, I think it's just so much simpler. You build your stream keys before the season, and then when you go and put games in, you just hit Fort Fry stream key, Caldwell stream key.
Right.
And it simplifies everything in a business where if you're going to scale this up and make it something that's sustainable, that's how simple it has to be.
Yeah. Well, as you know, and thank you for working with us, because Caleb was on it. He was always, and thank you. Caleb put a lot of work in for us, setting up all of the
thumbnails,
sites, the thumbnails,
and all that stuff,
the Caldwell, the Morgan, the Fort Fry for us, and then all of them you had to do, but setting up all the games and just the actual pages too. I mean, giving us the pages to use, and then of course giving us the stream keys. But we mostly, if we had to pull a third computer, we did, but we mostly had 2 computers that we ran around to our 3 streaming sites, and depending on what crew went where was what computer went where, and we had the stream keys on there, but sometimes they would forget to change them, and we would go live, and Caleb would call us and say, hey, we're not getting anything. We would go, oh,
yeah.
Change the stream key.
And I figured out I could see which keys were live at different times. So I'd go look and I'd see, it's Caldwell streams live, but it's a Fort Fry game. So, and before games, I'm always on there looking and making sure we're all good. So it works out to where I'm not just sitting here like, is Fort Fry live? Yeah, but I'll be at a game and I'll pull up Meadowbrook and be like, it's 6:50. I wonder
if they're live.
And usually by that time, you guys would typically be live. So I'm like, I'd had you guys on the right stream key, but it's painless. It really is. I mean, it's nothing, and in a normal year, and this is what I was trying to stress to some of my guys was, in a normal year, I could be in Europe, and I can schedule all these games if they have the equipment or whatever it is. It's not something you have to physically be around to manage. Whereas, if you were going to do the YouTube and do this, you could still do it on the road. But, with what I do a lot with like music, we'll do weddings. So I could be
traveling,
I could be anywhere, and it's starting to pick up more, which I'm like, it's not a bad thing, but not being here as much. It's easy to go and say, okay, here's my 6 or 7 schools for football season. They've got games week 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. Schedule those, and in most years you're not going to have cancellations nearly as much. So you can schedule those out, and then all you really have to do is say, hey, here's your box or here's your computer setup. They can keep it if they have to. Just make sure you're here week 3, here week 5. And they can go to games, hit the button, and it's live. It's very simple. Versus, before it'd have to be, and if you weren't around, okay, click this, call them, click this, check here, check there, and now it's just one button and you're live.
This way is very easy. The other way, it was very stressful during football season to be a coach and also try to be running these streams.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Taryn and Bricker, especially during football season, were the 2 that really did every Friday night, and they knew what they were doing, and I could always rely on them. But it still made me nervous. I'd be down on the field pregame, and I'd whip out the phone, and I'd be like, okay, are we on? Okay, yep, they're on. Okay, and then I'd go to the other one, go to YouTube, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, they're on.
Right.
And I just worried, what issues were we going to get into?
And and I think, and it always comes back to the we did it in 2 weeks thing. But
we did.
But I think the amount of just catch up everyone had to play, both schools, the people that are putting the stream on, and the consumer that has to now learn. Now, I've never done this in my life. How do I pull up a stream? It was a lot. And the first few weeks of football season, I mean, I do photos for Meadowbrook and Shannon, or not Shannon, Meadowbrook and Buckeye Trail too. So I'd be sitting there taking photos, and my phone, it would buzz from about 6:30 to about 7:30, just calls and just people wondering how to do this, how to do that. I don't mind taking them, but right when you're at game time, that's when it gets like crazy, and you're got all this pregame going on, to where now almost all of those calls, I have maybe one or two, or a Facebook message that's, hey, how do you do this? And so I think the consumer too is learning how to use the platform, and it's helping out a ton. Just catch up game, basically.
I did want to mention too, Caleb, we'll be with the Fort Fry boys on a huge win over Tusky Valley in the districts, and they'll be Wednesday night at 8, and I got confirmation that we'll be allowed to be there streaming.
Awesome.
So
good. And where's that played at?
That one's at Southeastern.
Is that Chillicothe still? Okay. Yeah, that's where Meadowbrook plays Thursday. Yeah. So we're doing that. Everyone's doing that one. AVC, we are. I think Warren has their T1 Sports, I think the people that do it. I don't know what they're going to do, but yeah, it's getting crazy. I think between the Fort Fry game and the Meadowbrook game, we're going to see some big numbers.
I think so.
We hit almost 700 on the Malvern game, the last one we did.
That's crazy.
Live, and then anything after that, it's up at 3,000, whatever it is. Even some of those girls games that we had were at 500 viewers, and those are records. I mean, those are records being set every new game, especially through the tournament season. So I think people are starting to figure it out.
That Fort Fry girls Highland game. Wow.
So
Highland went on to win the next one by 30.
Did they?
Yeah.
And we were, I think we were at Malvern. I think that's where we were that game, but I kept checking in. I was looking at your guys' stream, and I was like, let's see how they're doing. The first time, it was like halftime. I was like, they're tied. I said, they're tied up, guys. And I'd write it down. They'd say Fort Fry and Highland are tied, And so down the line too, and this is something I would love to implement, is if all these streams are on the same platform, you can set it up to where at halftime of your game, hey, let's check in on Fort Fry, even I considered doing it, and it would have been so much work for some of these games that are coming up. So we'll have maybe a DTA or Wagon Wheel, some of the places that are going to show the game. Like for Wagon Wheel, for example, I take one of my laptops down there because I want to make sure it works, because they kind of know what they're doing, and their internet's not great. So to make sure you have the right resolution set and all that stuff, I don't know. We have Chrome Remote Desktop on everything, and so if they text me, they're like, it's lagging, I can go in
and see
and fix it immediately from wherever I'm at. And so we'll do that. But I considered doing angling the laptop, because they set it up real high so they can plug it into their projector, and angling that camera down and then sending hey, let's see how the crowd at Wagon Wheel is watching. You know how they'll do for the Super Bowl, and they'll say, we're going to check in on, hometown of Tom Brady.
Yep.
Or what.
And they do, and they have a gymnasium full of people or whatever.
It's possible. I mean, it's there. It's just how much effort do I put in versus do I focus on the game and make sure we've got our sideline camera and all that stuff too.
That last football game where you brought the sideline camera down for Fort Fry.
That was fun.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
I went back and watched that stream. That was awesome. That was an awesome stream.
And Taryn, he was the one running it, right?
Yes.
You guys, you did the replay from it and everything.
He was the one replay from the sideline cam.
And it's a lot easier to do that with football because it's a play. Where I wanted to do replay from the sideline camera for basketball, but to have it recording constantly and doing all that, a lot of overhead, a lot of work.
We barely get replays in high school basketball. There's not a lot of time to run them. And Taryn does a pretty good job getting some of the big plays in, and he'll save a big play from earlier and then run it. But we're a little bit limited. We're not ABC or NBC. We're not these huge
We don't
companies,
have budgets
ESPN,
that
are and we don't have teams of people. We're especially Taryn and I, you're definitely a little bit more of a professional than we are. We're really new to it this year, and we're just trying to figure stuff out as we go. Mostly we're like, hey, I wonder if we can do replay, and they're like, well, let's YouTube it. And we start looking it up and figuring it out.
And that's about the extent of my professional knowledge is YouTube. And, I started with, I would make like Madden mobile videos like on YouTube. I was like, as a, high school kid, I'm like, this is fun. And then slowly I was like, I'm going to stream some stuff. And then eventually I was like, it'd be cool to stream some basketball games or some football games. You couldn't do football. There were some people that did, but you weren't allowed to until this year. So we would go and stream like basketball games or whatever it was. And then this year they were like, we got to stream stuff. I'm like, I know how to do that.
Here we go.
I can do that. So it was all thrown together very quickly.
I don't think now that it's here and now that people have done it, I don't think they're going to take it away.
Right.
I think what will happen, and the reason, if you go read the old rules in OHSAA, a lot of what they said was they wanted to protect, especially on football, which is why you could do basketball and different sports. But football was the one that they always reserved. You can't ever live play it. It always had to be delayed. And because they didn't want to take away the school's ticket money.
Right.
And that's why I think in the future what they're going to say is that's up to the individual school if they want to allow it and how much they want to charge to allow it. My concern there is that the schools keep it reasonable and not think that it's going to be a huge money maker. But I think the way they need to look at that is potential lost tickets. How much are we going to bring back?
Yeah. Yep.
And then how much of a cost are they willing to let go to have it out there?
Right. And it's really good publicity for your kids.
It is.
And even if you think about it from other schools' perspectives, they can buy a ticket and have free scouting. They're paying for scout film basically,
And some sports it matters a little bit, which in basketball, it's so weird being a football coach. We trade 2 films.
Right.
We don't really care.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to buy a ticket and watch,
and that's how
a ticket and watch.
My dad, he was a basketball coach for a while. He's like, he's like, because some concerns were raised. Well, what about just having our film up there? And he's like, my dad was like, people call me and I just give it to them. It didn't matter. They could get it however they wanted. So,
and for football, you trade 2 to 3 films, and in playoffs you trade 3, and and as a coach, we've gotten 6 films before. You can't do it. We already spend 12, 15 hours in a weekend watching film. I can't do anymore. I can't sit there that long and do it. It's tough. And, if you have more than 2 or 3 films, I mean, to break down a film, it takes 3-4 hours at least, I can't tell you how many times I rewind a play, but, as far as that goes, to me, that's not much of an issue, especially with football. If somebody wants to buy a ticket and watch it, or even if they were to screen record it, we talked about the possibility of somebody screen recording it and watching it like film, but you're going to trade films anyways. They're going to get it. They're going to send a scout, and whatever.
Especially now that every school essentially is live,
Yeah.
Every school has film now. It's not like an unequal playing field for one or the other. Now, the thing might be now you're going to make some money off your film versus just a coach watching it for free off YouTube, whatever it is, right? So
there were nights where we didn't play somebody, or we had a Saturday game or whatever, and we would buy a ticket and watch a stream.
Right.
Yeah. Mostly just because I love sports and wanted to watch something.
Yeah. But there's a lot of pros, a few cons, but a lot of pros to the ticketing system that I just think need explained versus.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So the consumer doesn't understand as to why it costs money. And, if you throw in all the cost, I mean, you have to have laptops to run these streams. It's not simply just having a phone and an iPhone and Facebook
and a
Live.
tripod.
It's as far as the streaming goes, like I guess you say more professional streaming that we're doing, there's a lot of equipment involved.
A lot. And what's interesting is with the Boxcast platform, and I haven't delved into it too much because I just haven't had the time, but they actually have a software-based overlay system. So in theory, you could run an iPad, send it to Boxcast, their servers, and then have someone here or whatever with a score overlay, with a sponsor overlay. And I think that's a possibility in the future, that if you're going to cut back on these stream costs, if that's where it's going to go, you could do that. But I think having it on site is just so helpful, and it looks more professional. Being able to queue up your ads, with their platform, it's not going to necessarily be real time, because you're getting this latency through the internet, and okay, now I have to add this in. So there's a lot there that it's like, it's a good idea, but that's a lot of work.
When you said real time, I had somebody tell me they were listening to the radio, and they're like 20 to 30 seconds ahead of you. And I go, it's because by the time we feed back through everything, there is a 20, 30 second delay. But that's still pretty live.
Live enough. Especially if you have your announcers and everything, it's going to be synced up.
What we're putting out live is live from us. It just has a slight delay by the time it gets through all the signaling through the internet.
And it's the same thing with professional sports. I mean, even through TV networks, mostly, for the most part, you'll see it might be a little better now, but when I was younger, I'd go to like a game or something, and I would pull up like the video on my phone or something, and it'd be like 20 seconds behind a Patriots game, or whatever. It could be anything. There's always going to be a little delay because light can travel so fast. Internet speeds can travel so there's always going to be 10 to 20 seconds. But for the most part, it's live.
What a season, man. Basketball season. There was one week where I announced I had like 12 games in like 8 days.
Yeah, no, there was a day in February. I think we did 9 games in a day or something outrageous like that. I think maybe it was less. It was probably 6 or 7, but I know it was a Saturday because we had morning games.
Yeah, we alone, and plus what you guys had, but there was one Saturday where I had Caldwell girls in the morning, Caldwell boys at night, Morgan girls at 1, Fort Fry girls and Fort Fry boys.
Wrestling.
There was
the Caldwell Invitational.
Yeah. There were multiple.
That was the weekend we had to pull up ESPN2 and stream Buckeye Trail to our Facebook page because we had 4 games going that night, and we had, I think, 3 plus the Caldwell Invitational wrestling
was still going.
Yeah, we had, it was 8 games. It was 8 games in a day. It was just outrageous. But it works, versus one, if you do per school, you've got your guy, he can do 1. But I think it also takes a little bit of worry out of the school's hands to have it in a professional company's hands too.
Our schools didn't have to do anything.
Hands off.
Completely. Yeah. The 3 school, all they had to do was let me know when the games were, and we showed up and did everything. Mm-hmm. So, and then, for us, Morgan and all the schools did a great job. Morgan did their own ads and got them to us from their businesses. But then Caldwell and Fort Fry, we actually sold the ads for them. So it was completely hands off for them. Yeah. And I'm thankful Morgan did, because I'm not as familiar with the Morgan County businesses as I am Caldwell and Beverly, being from Beverly and then living in Caldwell and having a couple businesses myself. So, but yeah, it was painless for them. They literally we just showed up and everything was done for them.
And I would even go to argue pro ticket, but I would argue it was more painless for your schools that were ticketed, because they don't, for us, and I don't know how, you guys did yours, but they don't pay us. We get our sponsors and then we'll send them a check. They're getting, they don't have to worry about, hey, send us that bill whenever. It's just show up, do the game, and you're good to go.
I think it'll all change next year. I think all the schools will get on the same page. I think you'll see the consistency. School boards and administrators didn't know what to do.
No, it was just all.
And they all just had to make a decision. And the decision, some of them said, hey, you know what, given the times, whatever's going on, the school's going to eat the cost. And then other schools said, hey, there's a chance here to make a little bit of money. Yeah. We're putting out a premium product. It's not just Facebook Live, and we're going to go ahead and charge. And what's really interesting is you see some schools charge and then they didn't, because people outcry. And then some schools didn't charge and then they did. And all of them.
Well, and I will give Fort Fry and their community a lot of credit. Is when we started the ticketing with Meadowbrook and Shenandoah, we had a lot of backlash, and I always like to, like, the people that don't like it will talk with their thumbs and their fingers on Facebook, and the people that do will pay for it and provide you with money, and so I like to think of it that way, which it was hard because it was a lot of people, but I think once we got that figured out, and even with Fort Fry going from free to ticketed, I think their community was very responsive to it. They were very okay with it and very supportive.
Very supportive. And the basketball coaches, a lot of them have told me, thank you guys for having these games streamed. They're doing a great job, this and that. I know most of them probably don't like to hear me on there. No.
We have Tom Strasser. So
when you hear your voice, you're like, oh man, I sound awful.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
But the interesting thing is I've enjoyed doing it. I really have. Yeah. I know I'm probably one of the world's worst broadcasters, but at the same time, I get up there and I have so much fun. And for me, I just love the kids so much, and all the different schools. I got to do some Caldwell games. I had a Caldwell crew, and anytime they had somebody off, I would sub in a lot and cover their games. And then of course Fort Fry. I mean, I coached most of the boys on the basketball team. Like half of them play football, and you coach them for 3 and 4 years, and you just you have such a bond with them. And I find myself in the box. You're gripping your seat. You're come on,
Yeah. No, I think one other thing too is. For some of the schools, we were able to do every game,
Yes.
Fort Fry, Caldwell, Shenandoah, Meadowbrook. We did Morgan Girls. They had someone that did their boys' stuff.
Yeah, I think one of their coaches was a little bit more technological savvy, and he got it out there for him.
Right, but it's not only is it great right now with not being able to get to the game, but long term, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to have every game you ever played, available for you to watch, to show your kids, to show, it's always pretty much always, unless the internet dies or unless certain platform, it's going to be there in one form or the other. And then even on top of that, some schools have done DVDs. So at the end of the season or USB, since there's a lot of video now, it's not just what is it? I think like 4 gigabytes can fit on a DVD or something.
Yeah.
You can put that on a USB and plug and play whenever you want. You can go back, watch that game you dunked in. You can go back, watch that game you scored 5 3-pointer, and your kids don't have to think you're joking with them. You can say, look, this was me. And
back in the day, 40 pounds lighter.
Yeah. So I think just even from the memory perspective, there's just so much there that's valuable to people.
That Fort Fry game, Caleb, at Tusky Valley, I was so not expecting it. The one young man from Tusky Valley broke away with a steal, and he went down the court, and I'm just thinking layup, 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 and all of a sudden he elevated and just bam, slammed it down. And I looked at my brother who was broadcasting with me. I'm like, where the heck did that come from?
Yeah, no, Malvern at Highland, they had a kid that put one down. I mean, it was nasty. But that's another thing we're starting to learn about the Boxcast platform is you can actually have someone, for example, if they were sitting here with 3 monitors or so, there's 3 games going on, they can be watching them. And then if someone does a dunk, or hey, they scored like this crazy 3, or at the end of you can now go in and make highlights of these plays, kind of like a Twitch clip, very similar. I mean, it's the same idea as, if I'm on Twitch, someone clip it. And I don't think anyone can clip it, which would be nice, because then you could almost outsource it to the fans.
Right.
But for the most part, if something happens, you can hit clip, you can name the highlight, and you can say, go, from here to the last 10 seconds, from here to the last 30 seconds, minute, clip it, and then you can name it. And then in the actual like software, like our website, when you see the game and then you see the list of games on the side for certain schools, there'll also be another list there with highlights from that game. So if you click on this game, then you don't have to sit there and watch the whole game. If you were looking for something in particular, you can just scroll through here. Ashley Wheeler, 1,000th point. There it is. Yeah,
that's cool.
So it's there, but we're still, that's another person that you now have to have sit around.
I know.
Do
we
something.
have to we still need to get all of our film for the whole year to you, so we can get the thumb drives made and stuff. And we definitely have parents and kids requesting it, and I really want to get it done for them, but when we're covering so many games, I can't get the time to.
Well, and just downloading all that video is time consuming, and
to download
here. Our internet's okay. It's decent. We can stream and do stuff here, but we'll go to download a 4 gigabyte game, and it'll fail like halfway through. It'll say network error, and it's usually not the network. It's something with the Chrome browser I was looking at. It's like once you get over a certain limit, it can just fail randomly. I'm like, well, that's great, but yeah, we've got all the Shenandoah football games out, but we're still working on volleyball because we did 10, 15 games for volleyball, and
it's a lot of games,
and it's the same length, so, and it's JV and varsity. So you've got 3 hours of video per game, and you're trying to download all this and then have the 5 games ready for today, whatever it is. And so it's just a lot of storage needed for that. So,
and here I thought, it's so funny. Like last week, I was like, man, it's starting to wind down. We're getting to tournaments, and then I had 3 games last week.
Yeah.
So
yeah, no, and I had a second to breathe now that we've got our sole survivor on our end, Meadowbrook, and then you guys have Fort Fry. So it's been a little easier. You're still trying. Now we're starting to grab sponsors for games and stuff still. So that's been fun, but. Yeah, now I took a second to breathe, and I looked. Between both of us, we did an average of 2 games a day for the month of February 8th to March, whatever, 8th, I think is today. I went and looked. We did 60 streams, and that's February. That's 28 days, so a little less.
Wow.
But yeah, 60 games in a month between both of us, so 2 a day on average, and we didn't even do one every day, right? So excluding Sundays, you could probably even...
almost go to 3.
Right.
Yeah. Took those out. And
so just the amount of games done and to be able to provide that to people is, I think that's really, I really want after the season to go through and start analyzing, look at, okay, so what was good, what was bad. There's just been no time to do that yet, to see, and that's even... For example, with the ticket list I gave you, I had 3 seconds to think in my head, now, why was the Warren game big? And I was like, oh, yeah, Warren also. And I'm guessing that's probably one of the reasons.
It's a huge rivalry down there, too.
Too.
And Warren's had Fort Fry's number the last several years, but it's just a huge, inter-county rivalry between 2 great programs.
Yeah.
I mean, they traditionally go down to the wire.
Warren's D2, so they're
bigger, yes.
And did Fort Fry win that this year? I didn't get to check it.
Fort Fry's 2 losses.
Oh man,
both of them.
And see, that's Meadowbrook. They beat Cambridge 3 times this year, and that's. My dad does all the stats for Meadowbrook, so he's got all these numbers, but that puts them at 12 in a row against Cambridge, and the last time they lost to them, I was on the team. So, so if that says anything, but no, that was in like tournaments in 2016. But yeah, they since Scooter has got there and started coaching, he has not lost to Cambridge yet.
Wow,
and that's just crazy to think about to me.
And Warren plays.
They play them, yeah. Next game.
Yeah, that's what. I thought
in the regional.
What I saw.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it all.
I love it when these local teams, make it deep into the playoffs and play each other in a district championship or a regional championship.
That Meadowbrook Cambridge game is big. I mean, we had, even restaurants, like, for the most part, football season, I would pitch it to some, like, you guys want to show the game. And it's not only, just, hey, stream the game. It's a community thing too, especially with Meadowbrook, with them being ticketed. And I know we're always going back to the ticketing, but with them being ticketed, the restaurants wanted to stream the game,
right? And buy 1 ticket and stream it,
right? And that brings communities together. It's not just it's a weird perspective. It's not there's no right or wrong like we've been talking about, but instead of just sitting here at home watching it for free, now I've got an incentive to go to these restaurants, to go see, and I guess we're in a pandemic, so whatever, but
just stay social distance and
right.
stay away from people.
And that's what, like, B-dubs, they streamed the John Glenn game, and I was like, yeah, whatever, just here it is, I'll throw you up a feed, you can throw it in there. They said they had a line out the door
to get in,
to come in and watch the Meadowbrook John Glenn game. And it was in like an hour wait to get in. And now granted, half the tables, and all that, but they said that's the busiest we were since, COVID started. And it was just for a local game, local community game. And the same thing with even these tournament games now. Last Meadowbrook Cambridge, we had DTA showing it, Steak and Ale, Wagon Wheel, and Buffalo for the more out there Meadowbrook people. And so just going and seeing, people coming together to watch these games that otherwise you're either sitting in your house watching it, and you can still do that, but other than that, your only other option to be around people to watch these games was at the game. And now you've got these options to go and watch these games with friends, with family. If they couldn't go to the game, or if either of you couldn't go to the game for certain reasons, now you can do that. You can go out and you can grab some food. You can have a good time while you watch the game too.
Yeah, we may have to. So what we did at Wings, Apex brought a couple computers up and set them up at Wings, which was nice. They just took a couple of their extra gaming setups and took a couple computers away and did that. But the one thing that concerns me, like on a Friday night, I only have 15, 16 tables.
Yeah.
If I get people in there for 3 hours in a row watching a game.
Yeah. And that was part of the reason B-dubs didn't show the last one, because Meadowbrook, Cambridge, you're literally in the middle of both schools, and you're not it was, they wanted to, but the higher ups were like, maybe not this one. And so I think it's just going to take some planning, especially in a normal year.
On a normal, if I had my full capacity, every single one of them,
right,
I'd love to have them on. It's just that, it's one of those things as a business owner, sometimes you really struggle with wanting to provide a service that has a lot of value to the community. It's on the business side, but then at the same time, you're like, I gotta also protect my customers that want to just come in and eat, and if you're there and you have these people, you're providing an awesome service, hey, watch the game. But those people, they're there for 2 or 3 hours, which generally, like I said, you don't mind, but on a busy night where you're already busy,
well, and you got to keep your waiters and waitresses, they got to keep getting their tips and everything, and you want to keep them happy, instead of just, they've been sitting there, you don't mind, but with limited tables, I could see where that would be a concern.
Because if you have your full capacity and we have 28 tables, not everybody's going to be, a lot of people are going to be coming and going or watch a half and leave, whatever. You're fine. Mm-hmm. It's the issue of, hey, I only got 15 tables open right now. And I'd have to count again. I think it was 14, 15 or 16, because due to COVID, what we did was we made some tables bigger to keep them 6 feet apart. We moved tables together and shut other tables down. Yeah. So we actually ended up with less. And then obviously on a bigger table, even if a small party's taking it, you can't sit somebody else with them.
Yeah. Right.
So it just, crazy times. It's just crazy times.
Yeah, and I think we're getting a little bit over it. I think we're getting close.
Hopefully,
right.
We finally. Oh, don't get me on the bandwagon here. Politics. We finally got the vaccine at local pharmacies.
Did you?
We got the vaccine last week, and my wife Kristen is so funny. She's a heart of gold. She's amazing. She's an incredible pharmacist. But the day she works so hard to get the vaccine, and the day we got it, she's like, this is like better than Christmas Day. I'm actually going to be able to help people in our community.
Yeah. And
that's exactly what she said.
And when did you guys get them?
We got it last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday.
And we're already out of the first 100 we got.
Cool. Man. So they're limited.
We're hoping to get more. So I actually haven't talked to her to see if we got more scheduled, if they're going to do another drop to us this week on Tuesday or Wednesday or what. but it feels good to be able to help your local community with that.
Yeah. And so if people are wanting to come get the vaccine, what do they need to do with you guys?
So right now you have to follow the Ohio Department of Health, the guidelines of, I believe right now it's still 60 and over, or if you meet a certain health condition, or if you have a certain occupation, working in the schools. And that's not just a teacher, anybody working in the schools, any staff, any position working in the school, obviously healthcare. So there's several different things that qualify people to get it, and you just have to go look at those guidelines and or call, and we can do that, help people figure that out. But a lot of local pharmacies have them, now they're starting to get them. But that's one thing. You talk about politics, we were on calls with the governor, we were on calls with our congressman, everything. Why was this not made available? The flu vaccine, shingle shots, pneumonia, all of these vaccines come through the pharmacy channel, and we give them doctor's offices. You can get these, the health departments, these go through so many channels. Why did the COVID vaccine only go to certain pharmacies? It went to the chain pharmacies first. And it really was frustrating to us and to independent pharmacies, where we're saying we have the capability and the distribution channels are there. They're already in place. We get deliveries every day. Why did they not go to these drug wholesalers and come through the distribution chains to us immediately so we can start vaccinating people and helping the health department? And, the Noble County Health Department, shout out to them. They have done a phenomenal job. I've heard nothing but praise for what they've done. I know some other health departments I've heard have struggled a little bit, bigger areas, bigger communities, and I know they're all working so hard. But to be able to supplement what they're doing, they're giving hundreds of shots. But for us to be able to supplement, we have 2 pharmacies in Caldwell, and both of us got vaccine last week. So there's 200 more vaccines that are out there, which is great.
Right.
Helping people get vaccinated. And that's what it's about. It's about getting people safe so we can get out of this, and the businesses that are struggling can back to some normalcy. People, yeah. I know at Apex, we've been not really hosting a lot of events, downscaling, not really advertising. Just don't want to advertise people coming out and playing games right now. Right. We're just trying to be as responsible as we can. And it's just frustrating. I'm ready to be I'm ready to be, doing what we love to do. And we're just not able to do that.
Yeah, no, and I think that is the good thing is the vaccine's here. We're starting to get it, we're starting to get it in our areas and all that. But yeah, I am so excited for the day where we're all just walking around. I can see everyone's smiles. I'm like, hey, I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be, I think, a big party for in a sense for. And it might not be just X day. It might be, a little bit over time every now. But I think once everything's almost back to normal or is back to a normal state, I think you're going to see an overflow of what you would normally even expect for, restaurants, for concert venues, all these places that have just been waiting, right? So
as a restaurant owner, I cannot thank the community enough for their support. Hands down, you can almost get teary-eyed talking about how much support we have seen and how much of an effort people are making. When we got the full shutdown and people had to go just curbside
online orders,
only,
yep.
I never would have dreamed we would have done the sales that we did.
Really?
And that is 100% just sheer effort by the community to go support their businesses, period. It's not as good. To go is to go. I love to go. Yeah. It's convenient. I get it myself. But I'm also the first person to tell you, at the same time, it's a restaurant's worst fear. Yeah. Because it is not as good. It's not going to be as good. The fries aren't going to be as good. You know what I mean? it's not as good as sitting down
necessarily
and getting it.
Fresh, right?
No, it's not. There's no way. And there's, everybody tries to do the best they can. They try to do, but by the time it's made, it's fresh right there. You walk it out to the table.
Oh yeah,
that's the best you're going to get.
It's presented.
When you make it and you put it into a container, and we test our containers. You try to have them where they let the steam out. They do different things, but keep it warm. So where do you find that happy medium? Because the steamier it gets, the soggier the food gets.
Yeah.
But if you don't keep the warmth in, then the food gets cold. So pick your poison. It's a tough issue to solve. But still, so, by the time people pick it up, by the time they get it home, by the time they eat it, it's always 15 minutes. Even if you live right there, it could be decently fresh, but it's still not kitchen to table, but still for people to make the effort the way they did is just incredible. Businesses placing orders to go. It was the outpouring of support. And then that is why you look and you say, holy cow, local communities can be incredible places to be.
Right. And look at, even like Caldwell now, that square is starting to grow a lot. You're getting a lot of new businesses in downtown Caldwell.
Yes.
And I think you're going to see, obviously like Walmart and Amazon, they were all open the entire time, but I think you're going to see a lot more support of local business after the fact, just because people are like, wow, like, this was tough. And even with the restaurants, doing all this to-go stuff, it's like we probably were undervaluing our local companies and for what they do, and I think people, they had a lot of time to sit around and do nothing. They started to realize, okay, actually, I did enjoy that a lot more than I thought I did.
How many Little League baseball teams does Amazon sponsor?
Yeah, right.
And I can tell you how many we do. It's a lot. So, just the other day, you get the calls, the yearbook sponsor, the banners at the baseball fields, softball fields, both, of course, we're down in Noble County, Caldwell and Shenandoah, we do them all. We love to do them. And then you do the Pee-wee, you do all those different things. And, and I buy stuff off of Amazon and stuff too. I'm not saying I don't. Right. I do. And,
it's almost impossible not to.
But I do make an incredible effort, to buy local and support as many local businesses as I can. And, a lot of times I'll get something off of one and then I'll turn around and get something off another. I just go back and forth and I support as much as I can. But it still, though, through the whole thing, it's just been absolutely overwhelming, the amount of support that people have given. And you wouldn't be here without them. Right. And then the other thing I talk about, the employees.
Oh. The unsung, some were heroes, but a lot of them were not recognized as what did they have to go through for X, or, what they have to go through just to be able to be there,
Well, and it's uncertain times. You have the customers that are uncertain about what to do or what's okay. You got customers that are, employees that are uncertain. But they all work. They're all awesome. I have, between all the different things I do, about 100, usually from 105 to 110, 115 employees through all the different businesses. And that's why I have gray hair and I have 2 kids. So anyways, but they really did an incredible job, and pretty lucky that way. So do you want to mention at all about how baseball season's going to go?
Honestly, I'm still brainstorming some of baseball season. So my idea at this point is 2 cameras. I'm thinking center field.
Oh,
I'm thinking, and we'll see. It's really going to, a lot of it around here is going to depend access to internet. At the fields. I think it's going to take a little bit of infrastructure as far as getting some sort of, wireless access point from either the top of the school down to wherever we're streaming, or some sort of Ethernet,
You might talk to Road Networking.
That's probably where I'm going to have to go. They're out of Byesville, right?
They are awesome.
I don't know them, but I need to probably get with them.
Charlie, have to give them a shout out. They helped us out with the Caldwell football.
Did they?
and the internet was awesome.
Good. Yeah.
So,
that's the one big thing I'm very on the fence about is some of these schools, the schools, and some of the schools have even said, we don't know if we're even going to do spring sports. I'm like, well, we'll try, we'll see what we can do reasonably. But as far as the setup, I think we're going to do center field, have what we would call our scoreboard camera is now going to be a zoomed in close up of pitcher and hitter, so that basically that's going to be what you're looking at, during pitches, during hits, all that. And then I'm thinking announcer one, or maybe color announcer, and then main announcer doesn't have to really do as much, but second announcer is going to have a button or a foot switch like this where I can just hit it with my foot, where it'll then, as soon as the ball's hit, as soon as whatever happens, if someone's stealing a base, you've got your camera operator that is basically following the action outside of your main zoomed in camera. And they're going to be able to cut to that, after a hit, after a big play. And that takes all the way, with the way we did it, our producer was our camera operator. So it's not going to be that's not feasible for this because it's not just up and down a court or up and down a field. It's where's the ball? So I'm thinking our camera operator is going to have their own thing. And then we're going to have our main stationary camera. I don't want to call it main because I don't want people to think, well, it's just going to be zoomed in on the pitcher and the hitter the whole time. But when the ball is, that's majority of your action is that. But then they'll basically be a little more wide or zoomed in if it's like a steal or something and they can get to it in time. But they're basically just going to be following the action. If it's hit to the outfield, okay, it's going to left field, just go to the left fielder, make sure you get him catching the ball or her catching the ball if it's softball. And then another thing I've kind of got with the the secondary cameras we're doing for even basketball right now with the sideline cameras and all that, we can run a wireless camera, but that's an extra person. Mm-hmm. That's extra equipment. Actually, this little bag there, I don't know, that bag there is our sideline camera bag. So everything you would need for a second camera fits in that bag. And on top of X setup, if you bring that, you can do a second camera. So instead of thinking, well, we need to have this in the bag, and is this in this bag or this bag? I try to keep them separate to where, okay, that one, I know if I bring that, I can do a second camera. If I don't, it's just a normal stream. I don't have to think, oh, did I forget something in this bag that I need for my stream? But I'm trying to sell the schools on highlights too, because we've done highlights for football, we've done highlights for basketball. But if we're doing your highlights, we're going to have someone filming all the action anyway, and then that gives us a second angle we can use for the streams. And so the incentive there is, instead of X, you're going to pay $100 less a game, because now we can use this guy for highlights and live stream. We don't have to just come and do highlights or just come and do live. We can get both. We're making money off both, and it's like a bundle. You can save some money here if you were going to do this,
and add on a small service add on a nice service for a smaller fee then.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that's kind of the idea right now. And then that's just internet. That's the one thing, I'm going to probably have to talk with those guys about is how we get an internet there. Some of the schools I know we can do it. Other schools, I'm like, well, that's half a mile away from the school. So
yeah.
So that's kind of the idea for baseball, softball right now. Track's going to be interesting. I'm actually super excited for it.
I think track could actually have some good action.
There's potential.
Yeah. I mean, I love watching Summer Olympics, know, and so I start thinking track and field and, watching the sprints and, even the field events, the shot put, I think that there's definitely some potential there. Yeah. I just think it's a Rubik's Cube to solve. And
And I think we ran into that a little bit with wrestling even this year was,
we did.
What do you put your attention on?
Wrestling.
There's 5 things going on. Do you go to pole vault? Do you go to high jump? Do you go to shot put that's over there in the field that you can't see, and
let me explain real quick. I know we probably need to end at some point here, but let me explain real quick to the viewers the problems with wrestling, because we had some concerns at one of the invitationals I did. And so one of the big problems is we can bring 4 cameras. It's not a problem.
Right.
We could stream to 4 different platforms. We could stream to 4 different channels. The issue is there's no way to convey. Once we're there, we would have to have the planning would have to just be absolutely immense.
You would have to have walkie-talkies with everyone.
Well, more than that, but the big problem is there's no way to convey to the viewer where the particular person is going to be. So we would, in order to do it, we would have to stream the entire event and then cut them all in.
Right.
So it wouldn't be live.
Yeah.
It would be way tape delayed. And then another issue is, so if we did just say, hey, we're going live on 4 different channels. They have 4 different mats for wrestling. We're putting a camera on each one, and each one's going to be live the whole time. You don't know which channel to watch because you don't know where your team or kids, they just move around.
Yeah.
They just, one mat could have a Fort Fry Shenandoah wrestler, and then the other mat could have, Woodsfield Bellsville, and then you turn around and that mat now has Meadowbrook Cambridge, and this mat has Caldwell somebody else,
right.
and then the Fort Fry's on this mat. You would have no idea where to be, and so it was funny. I had some complaints. People were saying, you didn't come prepared, and I said, actually, we gave it an incredibly great deal of thought. There's just no way to solve it. So the way we solved it was to have multiple cameras, and we have what's called a Blackmagic switcher, and all we do is it's like your foot switch. We just hit the button back and forth, and we try to cut to as much action as we could. So, in between this match, we would switch to mat A. And then, we would, after, we would get that match a little bit. If nothing was going on, we'd switch back over here. And then, they would all of a sudden get an action or takedown. We'd switch back, and we were just doing the best we could of,
Well, and then you get into announcers.
Well, thankfully, Fort Fry actually did a really good job with the invitational that we did there. And Caldwell did, they both did, but they had a projector.
Oh, okay.
And so for Caldwell, we actually didn't announce. They said just put it out.
Yeah, just have it.
And they said just put it out and people can just watch. But theirs was free, and they just said don't worry about it. Just put it out there. People can watch as they want. But for Fort Fry, they had a projector, and we were able to follow as they would put them up on mats, assign them.
Okay.
They were throwing them up.
That's
so
cool.
we were able to see, which was really nice because then we could go back and say, Steve and Jeremy on this mat, and whoever, from whatever school. And so it was pretty cool. I thought it went really, really well. Obviously, though, we weren't able to get all the different matches.
Yeah. And I think a solution to that for when you have time to really think about it is, so like, for example, for football, especially with Boxcast, because you can do, it's so versatile. For football, and I don't think people utilize it as much as they could have, which is okay because they're just watching their schools. But we had a red zone channel. So you could go and watch, if we had 5 games going on, you could go and watch all 5 on the same webpage. But now the problem I ran into with that is people would message me, I'm hearing Buckeye Trail audio on my Meadowbrook game. And it's not because it's just, you got to scroll down and pause it. But it's just like little things that you're like, this is a really cool idea, but then you really got to work out the kinks for the consumer side of, well, how do we make sure it's not too hard to use or not? It has to be very user friendly, basically.
Right.
But yeah, you could, in theory, have 4 different source embed codes, kind of like we have for the teams. You have your team embed code where you put it in, and then that's why you can see Fort Fry on the Fort Fry page. That's why you can see Meadowbrook on the Meadowbrook page. But in theory, you can do sources as well, and that's how we got around. For example, for Meadowbrook, that's how we got around the season pass versus single ticket item. So if you go to kgp.tv/Colts, you're going to see purchase season pass, and then right above that, before you scroll down to that, there's do you want an individual ticket? Click here. Well, if you click that, it takes you to a kgp.tv/something. I forget what it is. But basically, it's just a landing page for the source, not the team, where then you're only paying for the individual ticket because it's not a channel pass. It's a source. And so there's a lot of different ways you can do it to where it's also, you can do the season passes, or you could do 4 different camera angles. And even if you did them with iPads, if you think about for that, it could be as easy as setting one iPad on a mat and then one iPad, and just making sure you hit those correct sources, and it could and they could all be streamed to Fort Fry Invitational page, and the first box might be mat 1, mat 2, and then just have 4 boxes kind of. And the problem with that is when you start doing all this, it looks really good on desktop. But if you start pulling it up on iOS and Safari on Google, it would take months to make it look perfect on every device. It's all there, you could find it, but to make it viewer friendly outside of just the desktop version, especially if you're trying to get it onto a TV or something, there's a lot more work that could go into that. But just to be able to get it up and say, hey, we've got 4 mats going, it's definitely possible. But that was something I learned literally basketball season, was like, oh, we could do source codes, we can do team codes, you can do all kinds of different types of embeds with Boxcast. It's not just a team. You can do like, for example, our sponsors. We have sponsors that, they pay to be on the streams for Meadowbrook. Well, I don't want my sponsors paying $9 a game, or I don't want my sponsors paying $100 for a season pass when they pay us money to be on the stream anyway. So what we did was we set up a sponsor channel. Now, you can't make it free. That's the only problem, is you can't say, because if it's free, then anyone could just get on there, share that. But the smallest amount you can charge for a channel pass is $4. So for $4, you can watch every game, as a sponsor. And all you have to do is know the link. We send that in an email, and we say, if you share it, we can see who you should, because people are signing up for it. Know the link, and then there's also a password. It's password protected. So not only do you have to know the link to get there, you have to buy it, and you also have to have the email with the access to that password to get into the pass. So it's very protected. Whereas we ran into with football, we ran into, our sponsors, we'll throw it up on YouTube so they can get it. Problem with that, it's one link, and it's the same link for everything. So we would have our sponsors' YouTube page would have 200 people watching it, and they'd have 5 sponsors. I'm like, that doesn't seem accurate, but we're learning the ways around it very quickly too, which is impressive.
Yeah. Well, it kind of forces adaptation.
Right. And I think it's good to be adaptable. I obviously any business needs to be able to pivot and move and figure out problems. But I think that's something we've been very good at, especially since we're not huge and we don't have a lot of red tape. It's basically just me and a bunch of independent contractors
figuring it out.
Right. So it's like, I can do this and I don't have to go through here. I don't have to sign we can figure it out. And then if you need us live, great. If you don't, we can do high. So there's a lot of different avenues where we're pretty flowy as far as being able to adapt and change with what's needed at the time. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That was good. That was a lot of information. I think that was a really, really good discussion, especially with trying to clarify a little bit of the ticket sales to people.
Yeah. It's one of those things where, there's just so much confusion. Yeah. It's just a scramble to get it done.
And it's hard to explain it. If we were going to make like a little video explainer, it's hard to get that information out in a 2-minute video so that's why technically, obviously for this purpose, that's why I like doing this podcast is you can choose to listen to as long as you want, but we are going to either explain something, you're going to get to know someone over a length of time that isn't a talk of the town where it's 10-minute, 15-minute, or isn't hey, we did a quick commercial for X, here's what you got, learn all about them in a minute. This is a really good platform for people to be able to elaborate on stuff, get to really bond with other business owners too. Like I was saying before, we've had people come in and say, oh yeah, I started using these guys because they, I saw them on your podcast and they seem like really cool guys. We use them now, and so I think it's a really good platform for that. Is if people are wanting to understand more, they now have access to do that.
It's a great discussion platform.
Yeah,
it really is.
And you're seeing a lot more podcasts pop up, and I think out of boredom, just from sitting around, people are like, I could do a pod, and you can. I think it's been around a while, but I think you're seeing a lot more people either taking time to listen to them because they're sitting at home, or they're taking time to, okay, what do I need? Googling, how do I start a podcast and all this stuff. And I think that's really good. I think it's great that people are starting to, develop less of a quick reactionary, Facebook comment kind of mentality, and starting to think more of, let's talk through discussion. Let's explain things. Let's hear people out. And I think that's why I kind of started this was literally from, football season, all the flack, this and this, you're awful at this, you suck.